right, and welcome along to the Invincible podcast with Lee Judges and my man Julian in the building. Can't reach that far, Julian. Plus, you were just telling me you got a bad neck.
Yeah.
Now, look, you see how he's looking to reach right over there?
No, it's fine because I'm not using my neck, am I? I'm using my shoulder.
Yeah, but you're still
which is also hurting.
Moving. Your shoulder's hurting as well?
Yeah.
That gym's doing you the world of good.
You're falling apart, man. Yeah, for you at the gym.
No, I'm fine. I'm
breaking
fine.
down. You're breaking
as long as I'm not having to twist,
breaking up and breaking
then I'm
up.
all right.
Okay. This guy, man. But big up, Julian, man. It's good to see you, and good to see everybody here. And of course, there's only one place to start, right? It's got to be the game the other night, Bayern Munich, first leg of the Champions League. I think we were all going into the game pretty confident that Arsenal could get a win. But I think we was all very wary, all of us here anyway. I mean, I saw some Arsenal fans sort of banding it around, saying, we'll beat them easy, blah, blah. We all knew it'd be a tough game. We all knew that, we're talking about a team that, despite the fact that they're second in their league and they're not going to win the league this year, which they normally do in the Bundesliga, they've got great players. Harry Kane, Kimmich, Gnabry, Sane. They've got really, really good players. And we started off the game brilliantly. You know what I mean? It was an electric atmosphere in there. Started off the game fantastic. Great goal by Saka. Then immediately after that, we had another big chance where Ben White, he hit it straight at Neuer. But then after that, we started making error after error. They got back into it. They scored that goal. Then they got the penalty. They were 2-1 up. But we showed a lot of fight and resilience. And in the end, got it back to 2-2. And we go away to Germany next week. And we'll both be, all three of us will be at the game next week over there in Munich with a chance. But, Lee, do you think we blew it? You think we kind of blown it? Because we're not going there with an advantage now.
No.
And, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be really, really tough to go to the Allianz Arena and get a result.
I think you made a very good point in your fan cam. Thank God there's no away goal rule. I think if it was, I think we'd be out.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
No, we'd be out, yeah.
I think that... but the one good thing is... that we've got our way is that they've still got to win the game. It's level at the moment, so maybe they're going to come out a little bit. I think before Tuesday night, I think Arsenal had the advantage. I thought we was favourites over the two legs. If I'll be honest, I thought we would be. I think now that they're favourites to go through now.
Yeah. They're at home, innit? So they've got to be.
I think a little missed opportunity that we didn't take our opportunities. So I look back on it. I'm going to be really honest. I've been disappointed. It's been like a loss for me the last couple of days. I've really been disappointed. Not just with the way it went, the result-wise, the way we played. The one thing that me and Julian were saying it, like best on current form, best team in the league, maybe even in Europe, because of our defence. And I was saying that, I hyped that up before the game. And the defence, and let me down. They let me down, and I don't mean that nastily or whatever. My confidence that I think Arsenal can win the league and win games like Bayern Munich is because of our defending. When it mattered on Tuesday, the occasion, nerves got to us. Raya, I don't know what he was doing. I don't know what he was doing for the first goal. Completely come out and caused mayhem.
Nearly at the halfway line.
I don't know what he was doing. I don't know,
He was like an inverted midfielder.
Well, I don't know what... It was like one of those things, on PlayStation when it's stuck and he's running, well, get back, And that then panicked Gabriel. Gabriel then should smash it out. It was just error after that. But if Rayo normally is pretty calm and collective and has done really, really well... just messed up. And then, as I say, I'm going to go on to the Ben White chance. Ben White scores that goal in the Premier League, in my opinion. I think he's been fantastic, cool. All of a sudden, smashes it. Why? Because it's Champions League, I don't know. And then I felt that for the penalty, Raya's gone down too early and, it was just... But... we got our way back in it, and a player that's been not getting the stick, but people are going, he's not the player he was. Jesus come on and just reminded everybody how good a player he is.
Yeah, I mean, Julian, it was the defence, innit, that really sort of faltered in the game. Players, like we said, that have been reliable all season. Raya, Saliba, Gabriel didn't have their greatest of games. Kivior, they've had a bit of a nightmare out there on the left. And we just made a lot of mistakes, even in front of them. I don't think Declan Rice had his greatest game. Later on in the game, actually, he grew into it. But earlier on in the game, he wasn't influential. I mean, it was not a great performance defensively. Is it something to worry about, or do we just put it out and just say, listen, it's one of them games? And at the end of the day, we didn't lose the game. That's the most important thing. It still sort of keeps that sort of momentum going, that we're not losing games.
Yeah, well, I think that the reasons why, yes, there was issues with defending, but I think you've got to look at the quality of the opposition. And one thing that I absolutely agreed with you on was how we looked at Bayern Munich. Even though they're not doing as well as they normally do in the German league, they're obviously a really good team. And one of the reasons they're so far behind is because of, and I think we've missed this point, is how good Leverkusen have been. I don't think they've lost a game from what I understand. They've absolutely not come from nowhere, because they've always been a good team, but their performance has been tremendous. And to win the league, consecutive seasons is hard enough, but Bayern Munich won it 11 seasons in a row. So
but even
so
without
you have to give them like one season off.
Even without that Leverkusen being so good, they've not been great. Even they lost a couple of weeks ago to Borussia Dortmund at home. They on the weekends they was playing against a team that just got promoted to the Bundesliga. They were 2-0 up and ended up losing the game 3-2. So they haven't been great overall, have they?
Yeah, but if you look at that result when they lost to Borussia Dortmund, my understanding is that a few minutes before they went on the pitch, the game before, Leverkusen scored in injury time, and it was almost like they were deflated. And I think when you get to that stage, they knew it was up, and the performance wasn't going to be as good as it could have been had they thought they had a chance to win the league. So I think what they've done is they've just kind of dispensed with the idea of winning the German league, and they're putting all their efforts into the Champions League. So my point being is that they are a tremendous team. Take their league position, even though they're still second, I think you can get fixated on that, and that's one thing none of us did before. We all realised they were going to be a great team. So going back to the defending, I don't think it was mistake after mistake after mistake, but what it was 2 mistakes. But I think you also have to look at the quality of the opposition that we played against. And I don't think we've come up against many teams that have played that well with that kind of quality. I mean, we played against City and they've got the quality, but I don't think the City performance was anywhere near as good as the Bayern Munich performance. So I think one of the reasons...
But we didn't make them errors against City. That was the thing. We were tight.
But yeah, we didn't make those errors, and that was a much better defensive performance. But I think you've also got to look at the opposition, the players that they're up against, and also the performance that they put in on that night. But I would agree with you, the error first of all was from the goalkeeper. He was too far out, but he's being played, that's kind of how he plays, but it was too exaggerated. I mean, I understand that he cuts out, one of the benefits of having that kind of goalkeeper, Raya, is that he saves a lot of chances before they even become chances. So by being in that forward position, he can snuff out a lot, but he just got it wrong that time. And then from there, it just cascaded.
He could have even saved it, couldn't he? Like, went through his body, didn't it?
I mean, the other thing you can blame Gabriel. The goalkeeper came out, and he was basically wanting to take the ball, and Gabriel took it off him. But then one of them needed to be more decisive, and in effect, neither of them were decisive enough. And then it led on to that. And then the fullback performance, I think he's been really good, but that performance reminded me of his half at Fulham. It exposed his weaknesses. But then Sane is just such an incredible player. Would he have done that to Zinchenko? Yeah. Would he have done that to Tomiyasu?
I said it at the start. I said it on the starting 11 before the game that I felt, Tomiyasu should start that game.
We all did, didn't we?
Kivior has done brilliantly, right, as a backup, right, and it's been needs must, right. You know what I mean? There's been no left back available for quite a little while,
Zinchenko.
Exactly, and he came in and he was a bit shaky at first, grew into the position, done a great job, right? However, for me, now that the real guys are back and we're facing this game, I thought that was a mistake by Arteta. I thought, like, it's now, Jakob, you've done brilliantly, but you've got to return to sort of backing up the centre-backs. In that position, I would have started Tomiyasu. Although Zinchenko, I thought, done really well when he came on and helped to get us back on our front foot. But I would have started Tomiyasu in that game. You know what I mean? Because of the players you're up against.
Yeah,
these are the wingers of the highest quality.
I agree.
And it got exposed, and I think that was a mistake in selection by Mikel Arteta, and I think he knows that because he pulled him at half time, and you don't normally see Mikel Arteta pull off players at half time. Right, so he knew that basically Kiwior was getting heavily exposed, and that was the right thing to do. And and when I say mistakes, it wasn't just the 2 errors for the goal. I just felt that all night we just kept giving the ball away. It was very uncharacteristic of how we've seen Arsenal play.
I just thought it was a nervy performance from us, and Mikel, I think, got it wrong and then got it right. If I've been really honest from that point of view,
I hear what you're saying.
I love the starting 11. We do the starting 11 because you try and think like the manager and think what he's been doing and all that. And I look at that, and the last 2 games before that, Zinchenko's played, but we all thought that he wouldn't play in this game. And in the 2 games that have preceded that, he's brought on Tomiyasu, hasn't he, to play that position.
Yeah.
And Kiwior hasn't had a sniff since.
Yeah, but it could have been that he came back from a very tough international.
Yeah, he did, and then he played against Man City, and then all of a sudden he come off, I think, for Tomiyasu, and Tomiyasu's come on in a lot, and I'm thinking, well, right, you're giving Tomiyasu the minutes, maybe that's why he's giving him those minutes for that game. I think he done it with Martinelli, didn't he? He sort of Martinelli a few minutes and then playing, and then I don't think any of us criticised him bringing Kiwior, if I'll be honest, but I look back on it. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. It was the wrong thing.
Yeah, because the same could have happened to Tomiyasu or Zinchenko. It's up against. He's not a winger.
No. They're better. They're more. It's like somebody like Tomiyasu.
Yeah, I think
is a much better defender in
played
the wide areas because he's used to playing that.
Yeah,
so you see, like you said, you go up against Salah, you go up against better guys than that, and has done very, very well. So it's just that Jakub Kiwior, you saw it. He's not a left back. Look at the way he got turned.
It was terrible. It was terrible.
Yeah, come on. He's way too tight. You know what I mean? If you're up against a guy like Sane, you know he's got great feet and everything. You know how quick he is, right? You don't get that tight to him that he can just, that was very...
It could be, from having seen the performance in the first half against Fulham, it might be that Kiwior's the kind of player that needs a run of games. And the fact he hasn't actually been in the Arsenal side for a while, to bring him in for that game could have been the mistake.
But why do you need to bring him in?
I don't think you did.
Right, because the thing is, right, you can sort of look for it from a sort of loyalty type of thing and say,
no, you can't have loyalty.
You put in but I'm just saying, right, you put in good service for us whilst these guys are away, so, you know what I mean, and you did well enough to, but for me, you've done your job. Now these guys are back, the both of them, you know, it's not like one guy's back where you'd even be saying to yourself, all right, I'm going to put you in for this game because I'm going to start this player at the weekend. No, they're both back.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, right, Jakub, you've done brilliantly, but now you're kind of going back to your role from before because this is a game where we're up against quality wingers, and that's where we got it wrong. But then, like Lee said, in the second half now, Mikel Arteta, you got to commend him. He got it right. He pulled off Jakub Kiwior early, so he got him off at half time. Realised that's never easy to hook a player at half time, and then the bringing on of Jesus, Trossard, Zinchenko. These guys changed the game. They got us back on the front foot.
Every single one of the substitutions worked.
Yeah. Although Bayern could have nicked it at the end as well, right? There was that chance that Coman had when he hit the post. So in the end, we were lucky to get away with a 2-2. Plus as well, I'm going to speak about our penalty, but should they have had a penalty as well? I didn't really notice it as much in the game. I remember seeing the Bayern players around the ref asking what's going on, right? But I don't know if you saw the incident where Gabriel picked the ball up when he shouldn't have done. They've got this little routine where they throw the ball to him and he puts it down and that, right? He picked the ball up after the whistle had been blown. Technically, it should have been a penalty. I think I'm only wondering if because the referee sort of messed it up a bit.
He was up that end, so I didn't even know it until I was on the
train. It was actually up the other end. So when I saw it, I thought that's a stonewall penalty because there's no get out. The ball was in play because the referee had blown his whistle, and he picks it up. Therefore, it's a penalty. There can be no dispute. But then I was reading up on it, and apparently there's a rule 18 in the game that what it does, it brings in the concept of that you've kind of got it. How can I put this? It's
grey area.
Pardon?
Grey area.
Kind of grey area, but you play in the spirit of the game.
Yeah.
And the spirit of the game would have been that he probably didn't hear the whistle. And the other aspect of it is that he wasn't doing it to gain an advantage.
Yeah.
Because if you looked at the Bayern forwards, they were so far back, they had no chance. So it was an honest mistake. And this Rule 18 is almost like ungentlemanly conduct the other way.
I thought that as well. Like when I looked at it, right, I was like, it's a penalty. But I think the referee's looking at it and thinking, just like exactly what you said, that, you know what, it's like, he obviously didn't hear, or he's not done that deliberately. And like you said, and if they would have took that penalty, which they definitely would have done, because they would have took it, because Tuchel was moaning about it after the game, but that would have been, I mean, I don't know if I'd want my team to take that penalty, to take that. I mean, I guess
I would.
I guess you would, man. But is that in the spirit of the game?
And that's exactly. It's not in the spirit of the game. And actually, a UEFA representative came out after the game and said, if you love football, you wouldn't have wanted to see that given as a penalty. And the referee did the right thing. The expression I was looking for was common sense. In that's what that rule's there for. That if there's something a little bit obscure that happens, but in the spirit of the game and common sense prevails, and that's what the referee applied to that. So it does mean it's a grey area. But had it been given, you probably wouldn't have had too many arguments.
I mean, Tuchel was moaning a bit hard about it, but then I'd equate that to a bit like, for instance, when you see players, and they're trying to take a quick free kick and somebody stands in front of it and they kick it against them, right? Referees don't always give that as a yellow card. I noticed recently especially, referees are not giving that as a yellow card, but technically it's a yellow card because you've not got that 10 yards. But because the player has deliberately just kicked it on you I mean, a lot of referees are just like, get back. I mean, it's a similar thing with this. I think the referee obviously realised that Gabriel didn't hear the whistle. And I thought, you're right, Julian, it's common sense, you know. But Tuchel was moaning about it. But then let's go to the one right at the end of the game now. Should Arsenal have had a penalty for the Saka? Saka's running through on goal at pace. I know everybody slowed it down on their TVs and watched the slow motion and that, but you've got to take it in the context of the incident. In real time, he's bearing down on goal, he's running at pace, and then he runs into Manuel Neuer. Now, yes, he does leave his foot in there a bit, as all these strikers do, you know what I mean, and wingers do. However, Neuer's position, he's not exactly trying to get the ball, is he? He's deliberately sort of, because he's realising that he could get done here. He's deliberately making himself big and sort of stopping dead in front of Saka to try and stop him from getting around. So it is a bit of an infringement. Where do both of you stand on this? Penalty or no penalty?
I'll go first, 100% penalty. I've seen, and it really infuriates me when Arsenal fans say, it's not a penalty and all this like that. I've seen Harry Kane do that over at the Emirates, get a penalty. I've seen Song do that and get a penalty. And every time people say it, there was contact. And I want anybody that don't think that's a penalty, right, to go back to Anfield this season when Saka goes round Alisson, gets brought down, it's all on social media, gets brought down, tries to stay on his feet, right? Does the ref give a penalty? Does the Eckers like, you know what I mean? So for me, if Neuer ain't there, he don't hit him, does he? He's stuck out his leg and he's gone over it, like, you know. And for me, it's a penalty. And I'm going to say, like, I could not understand why that wasn't given as a penalty, especially after their one, which was a penalty, but very, very soft. And I'm thinking, I don't know why he didn't give that.
Could that be the reason?
And that was the reason. I still, because the referee's human, and he's let Arsenal off with that penalty. Whether you think it's right or whether it's wrong, letter of the law is that he's done it. And I think it's a debatable penalty, I'll give you that. And he's looked at it and thought, well, I've let you off down that end, I'm going to let these off down that end. And that's the only reason why I think he didn't give it in the end, because I don't think in Europe, any other time, that would have been given. And I can tell you this now, it's exactly the same if you want to go back to the Liverpool-Man United game with Wan-Bissaka and Harvey Elliott. It's the same sort of incident. Saka doesn't touch him. He runs.
Was he cute enough though, Saka? And it was a bit obvious.
Yeah. I think you look at that. Harry Kane would have definitely got a penalty there, and it would have been a little bit more cuter and whatever. But at the end of the day, I still think it's a penalty. And right at the last.
Wait a minute. The expression on Julian's face.
Well,
and one thing is, he thought it was a penalty. Right, when he first see it. And I don't agree with all this slow motion stuff. It's not in slow motion, is it? Why are they slowing it down and all that? Like, it's in real time. Have a look at it in real time. It's a penalty.
Yeah, what do you think, Julian?
I'm smiling because Lee's explaining it in a far more rational and calm way than he did to me when we were waiting to do our fan cams, where I don't know if you heard about us. No, he was very abusive. He was very abusive.
I bashed my head. All right, I'll bash you over the head with my programme. There you go.
It was a bit more. It was verbally and physically.
Oh, you physically abusive.
Did you not notice when you were doing your first fan cam?
I remember him going like this.
I know that he's going to. If I'd have said it, old jokes aside, I was mucking about. But if I'd have said it was, I know what he's like because he's there listening away. If I'd have said, it's not a penalty, they'd gone, oh yes, it is. It was a penalty. He's just, that's what he's like. You know what I mean?
All right, so I'll admit to the first thing. When I first saw it and we were at the other end, I thought it was a penalty. But seeing it from that distance at that speed once, then it's very difficult to be able to say that it's a penalty, it's not a penalty, especially as you said, and I agreed with you, it was quite contentious. There's so many different opinions on it that it shows that if it had gone to VAR, they can't reverse that decision. So I'll absolutely agree with that. But the arguments that you're giving it, there was two arguments I heard that just before you started shouting at me. I was listening to the guy that was talking, who was also doing a lot of shouting as well, and he was going, contact. If there's contact, it's got to be a penalty. And I'm thinking, well, hang on a minute. If I sort of go and punch someone in the face, then they can't get done for headbutting my fist. You know, contact is two-way.
Of course it is.
Yeah, so that's the first argument I would kind of take out of it. It doesn't matter if it's contact, it's who instigated that contact. So that's the first thing. Your argument is based on the fact that if other ones were a penalty, then that surely must be because they're similar. Yes?
Do you see him given?
Do you see him given?
I look on the top, like their penalty. There's contact, but like the way he goes down, there's no way that the foul generates the way he went down. And I think I thought that it was soft. If you're giving that one, I feel that one was a penalty as well. I do feel that.
Yes. So your argument is purely based on if that one's a penalty, then this one must be. But the two are unconnected because just because one's wrong doesn't mean the other one has to be right. So I don't see them in any context. I don't care if they're similar and one's given and one's not. It just means the referee might have made two mistakes or the referee might have made no mistakes. So the way that I saw it when I did see it played back was that Saka instigated the...
How does he instigate when he's running at pace? How does he instigate
for me, and only Saka knows, this is the thing, only Saka knows this, but the way it looks to me is that Saka put his leg out. It might be that the angle that he was running at, Neuer held his ground. So if one player runs into another, I can't see it being a penalty. And it is contentious, but that's the way I see it. If I had to call it one way,
cheating?
Only Saka will know because...
Now, what do you think?
I don't know what's in his head. All I would say is the way it looked, he could have been cheating, yes.
If Neuer isn't there, right, Saka doesn't cut the ball back, yeah? Because he cuts the ball back, right, he has to change direction. You know what I mean? That's how I see it. Yes, he leaves his leg in there, but like you're taught to do that at times. You know what I mean?
Well, then that still isn't right, and it still isn't a penalty. Just because you are taught to do something,
everything is. If you ever look at how many penalties have we had against us like that?
Yes, and it can be cheating.
It's not cheating. Not within the rules. It's not cheating.
If you're trying to win a penalty,
a lot of penalties, and there'd be another 4 or 5. Your player goes past the goalkeeper, you hit him. Simple. And you know, the goalkeeper, you see him try and get out of the way and it just touches his leg and all that, and they go down.
And to me, that's not a penalty as well.
But it is a penalty.
Given all the time.
You see them given, but that's
a level of consistency, right? Because to me, especially in Why I was so surprised that they didn't give it, right, is especially in the Champions League, those are given.
Yes, even guaranteed more.
I mean, I was really shocked that it wasn't given. I personally, right, listen, there's a lot of truth in what both of you are saying. Saka has played for it a bit. He has left his foot in there a bit. But for me, I see those given all the time. That's why, to me, it was a penalty, right? I was shocked that was not given. The referee looked at that in real time, the speed he was travelling, and said no penalty. I was shocked that there was not even like a VAR.
But it wouldn't
Let's have a look at it.
It wouldn't have been a point of VAR because it is so contentious, and VAR's only there to overturn a clear and obvious error.
No, but VAR will, but they still look at incidents.
They can look at it.
So I'm saying I was shocked that like maybe the referee didn't sort of think, well, you know, hold on, and then wait to see. He just blew up straight away, didn't he? He wanted to just get out of the situation.
The referee, right? You could go back their first one. If he doesn't give that, right, VAR weren't going to overturn that neither. You know what I mean? Like, you know,
in football, when the thing is about football, right?
I agree with that. It's just, you know what I mean?
We've all played football, obviously nowhere near those levels, right?
Well, talk for yourself.
We've all played football. Well, you didn't play near that level, did you?
No. In my head, I did.
The Maccabi 3rd and 4th division is not the Champions League, Julian.
Runners up.
Runners up. Kit man and things like that. That's not the Champions League, right?
Player manager to get a game.
But the point I'm making is that when players are running at speed, it's always easy to look on it at TV.
100%.
Yeah. But when players are running at, their one's a penalty.
Yeah.
Because even though there's barely any
penalty.
contact, right? Barely any contact. You have to give it because when a player's running at that sort of speed,
if he doesn't go down,
it doesn't take much.
If he doesn't go down,
it won't get given.
It won't get given.
It won't get given. And that's where I have a problem. It should get given.
That's why Saka's trying to make sure, because he has been impeded, but he's trying to make sure that he gets a penalty. And
Have you seen the one at Liverpool?
That does happen now. That does happen.
Which one?
When he goes past Anderson and gets fouled.
Who?
Saka at Anfield this season. Have you seen it?
Well, I was there.
Right, do you remember it?
Not really.
Right, we'll go on to... I'll show you it.
Yeah.
He does exactly the same thing, but he tries to stay on his feet, and the referee says, player...
Yeah. So that's why you see players now. A lot of players will be like...
Sane done that. He's seen the contact.
A lot of players... Yeah, they're like, I've been fouled, I'm going to...
I'm not knocking it. I'm not knocking it. That's how it is.
But I am knocking it. That's a difference.
No, but I wasn't complaining about the Sane one because...
But I accept that's how it is. But to me, that's wrong. That you have to go down. I remember years ago in the cup final where we played Southampton, and Pires was cleaned through. It was in Cardiff after a few minutes, and a Southampton player took him out, and he managed to stay on his feet, and he missed the chance. And if he'd gone down, it would have been a penalty. But these are the rules. You shouldn't have to go down.
No, but you have to do. You do, though.
You shouldn't
the
have
problem,
to.
No, the problem is...
The
problem
I know
is,
what you're saying,
Julian,
but you ain't
you're
gonna,
right.
You ain't
in the ideal world, right? But listen, football's changed. As you said, look at them Bayern players trying to get the penalty for, you know, when they know that Gabriel's not deliberately done it, but they're still trying to get the penalty. So
and that's what's wrong with the game.
There's so much. Maybe that's what's wrong with the game, but that's how it is. And that's why, for me, that one was with Saka. Was a penalty because he's running through at speed, he's impeded, he's trying to make sure, but he has been impeded. And I feel that should have, you know what I mean? I usually see those given. And I was surprised to see it not given. But listen, it's 2-2. We now have to go over to Munich next week.
But just before that as well, about the referee, I've got to bring it up because, again...
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
I didn't see it as a sending off when I was watching the game, but afterwards, you know, Harry Kane
disgusting. It was assault. He saw where he was.
How the
looked over
referee
his
is not
shoulder.
sending
he looked
off
back.
there. It's horrendous.
If you did that on the street, you'd get arrested. So
I look at
he's a footballer.
He's not jumped and gone like that or whatever. His feet are standing and he's put one in on him. And I can tell you that in Europe, that is. Do you remember? I was watching. Do you remember Marcus? I think it was Marcus Rashford got sent off for just trying to get the turn and got stamped over, like, you know, and VAR were all over it and sent him off. And I thought it was very harsh. Why are they not looking at that? You know what I mean? That was it was terrible.
It was disgusting.
But
and
he got
people
away
say
with
he's not that kind of player. Well,
he is.
I know
he's
he
always
is.
been that
He's
sort of
horrible.
a player.
Bit like a sort of Dennis Bergkamp. Remember Bergkamp?
Yeah, like, listen, the dark arts he's very good at. Like, he knew exactly what he was doing there, and he'd done enough.
But that's wrong.
Yeah, I know, but how the referee sees, and people are going, you know, I've had an argument with Jordan about it today on the show. It's an orange. There's no such thing as an orange.
No, it's
you know
a
what I mean?
red.
Like, it's a red or it's not.
Yeah.
It's a yellow. Once he give him the yellow card, it's not a yellow.
He's seen it, hasn't he? 'Cause he's seen it.
He's seen it, so he's given him a yellow card. That is an elbow in the face. Is not a yellow card. It is it's violent conduct.
Yeah.
So it should be a red card. I know when you're going up and
But he wasn't.
different. But he wasn't.
No.
His feet were standing, and he's put one in on him.
Yeah.
It's a sending off.
Yeah. Can we now, you know, as I said, all three of us are going to be over there next week in Germany, in Munich. We're going to be going to the game. We've all been there before. It's you know, a loud stadium. You know, I mean, they really get up for it. 80,000. It's going to be packed. Their fans were denied being able to come. By the way, all them fireworks being lit off outside. They were their fans outside there. You know what I mean?
There was a few fans inside.
Yeah, but their fans weren't allowed to come to the game. So they're going to be very vocal. It's the only thing they've really got to play for now because they can't win their league. It's going to be huge for them. Can we go there and win this game? I mean, personally, I feel Arsenal do have a chance. They are the favourites. But our tactics, I think our tactics will be what they did. Where basically we do what we did against City. We sit in and we just wait to counter attack. That's what I think. I think that's how we get joy. I think a lot of teams that have had joy against them this season have kind of done that a bit because their defence to me as well. We talked about our defence a lot in the game. I didn't think their defence was great either.
We've got Eric Dyer.
Yeah, I
in
mean,
their
like
defence.
you saw Dyer. He was miles off Saka in it for that goal. He's just standing with his hand
Other than
behind
that,
his
he
back.
was all right though.
Right?
What, you thought so?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, well, you say other than that, it's all right, but that was
Yeah,
that put a 1-0 down. I
didn't think he was.
I think we can. I think we can get at that defence and you know, play a much better game. Start with say a Jesus and that, but it's going to be tough. Where are you guys standing on it?
I'll be very surprised if we go through.
You think we're out?
Yeah, I think missed opportunity. I think I was saying before the game we needed to get 1 or 2-0 up to make sure that we. I think if we was 2-0 up, I fancied us. 1 up, I was 80%. But to go over their level now, got to go there and win. Haven't got to go there and win. Can get a draw and penalties.
Yeah,
you know.
That's why for me you go there and keep it tight.
But I think with that atmosphere, been there before. I think
They have lost games at home this season.
Yeah, look, listen, I'll be celebrating well into the night if we do get the result, and you know, please let this do. But I'll be shocked, surprised, but very, very happy if we do.
What about you, Julian?
Yeah, I think for me it's still 50-50. And the reasons being, however impressed I was with Bayern the other night, both their goals were mistakes, and they were uncharacteristic mistakes from Arsenal. I've not seen Arsenal make maybe one mistake per game, if that, since the turn of the year. And they made 2 mistakes, and yes, their players were of a high enough quality to be able to capitalise 100% on both those mistakes. But bearing in mind the performance and the players that we've got, I think, I wouldn't say it will be easy to cut out those mistakes, but it will be quite within our skill set to be able to not make any of those mistakes at that level in the return leg. We've also got the players to hurt them. I think they'll be in the home team. They'll have to come out more, which will mean Martinelli should have, and Saka will have more space behind. So I'm not saying we'll definitely go there and win, but I don't see them as the favourites. I still see it as very, very evenly pitched, that game.
I'm really interested to see what people watching and listening to this feel. In the comments, let us know. Do you think Arsenal, do you think it's 50-50, as Julian's saying, or do you think, as Lee's saying, that, you know, we're gone, we're out?
He said he wasn't even going to go.
Are you not going no more?
Yeah, he's not going. Yes, you did.
Do you know what? I've been very, very down about it. I'm not going to lie. These last 2 days I've been down speaking to my mate Steve.
We didn't lose.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he said. He said, like, you're disappointed then we didn't beat Bayern Munich. So I said, yeah, and he said, come a long way, haven't we?
Yeah.
But, you know, like, I was a lot disappointed when we lost 5-1 to Aston, but I get that.
I really can see this game go out of penalties, man. And then that's us missing our flight back. Right?
That'd be my fault.
Because it will be your fault, yeah. But no, I can see it. You can see it already.
Yeah,
penalties.
We even discussed it when we were booking those flights. We said that if it goes to extra time penalties, we're missing that flight, and we both took the decision. We'll go for it.
Do you reckon it'll go to extra time penalties?
I get a feeling that game next week is going to be a tight affair that goes to penalties. Extra time and penalties. I can see it, man. It's got it written all over it for me.
Yeah, I think the moment we booked those flights, it was going to extra time penalties.
No, I don't think it will.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll get to find out next week. In the meantime, we have another very important game in the Champions League, in the Premier League. Sorry, it's exciting at the moment because Arsenal have still got loads of things to play for, and of course, this week in the Premier League again, it's another cup final, really. Right? Aston Villa at home. Villa, of course, they're going for Champions League places. They faltered a bit recently. They really have faltered. They had a draw last week at home against Brentford when they were winning. They were 2-0 up, let that slip. They're going to be missing Douglas Luiz, who's been a very influential player for them in their midfield. And this is a big game for Arsenal. Aston Villa, one of the teams that beat Arsenal this season. They beat us 1-0 at Villa Park. We had, I thought we played pretty well that day, apart from conceding that early goal, but they defended very well. But since, I don't know, they've been a bit weird, Aston Villa, in recent times. They'll pull off a great performance, then they'll pull a couple of poor ones, then, they've been a bit erratic. They, of course, play Thursday night. At the time of doing the show, they haven't played yet, but they're playing. So they've got a game against Lille, tough game, on paper. So we would have rested 2 days longer than they've rested, the old Thursday night, Sunday games. But Sunday at 4:30, an absolute must-win. When you look at the games that Manchester City and Liverpool have got, you'd expect both of them to win their games. This one is a big one, Lee.
Yeah, it is, massive. And I expect Arsenal to win off. I think the one thing about playing Tuesday is give us 4 days off. I'm pretty sure they've had a couple of days rest, and I think a couple of those players desperately needed it. I wouldn't make any changes, that many changes for this game.
What are you talking about against the team that started at Bayern?
Yeah, I'd go fairly strong. I don't know if you want to bring Thomas Partey in. That is a question there. I'd keep Zinchenko at left back for this game. Maybe bring Tommy Essa right back just to give him some minutes and give Ben more. But I wouldn't tamper with the 2 central defenders and goalkeeper. Midfield. If you're going to play Thomas Partey in Munich, I think he's got to play this game. I think he needs minutes in his belt. But I don't want to be looking at a team, let's play Thomas Partey because we're worried about Wednesday. We've got to focus on winning on Sunday. So I won't take it too much there.
Up
Again,
front.
Jesus up front for Havertz, maybe, but that's about it.
Yeah. Let me get Julian's thoughts on it before I say what I say.
Yeah, well, I've looked at Villa, and you're quite right there.
Spreadsheets up.
Yeah, the performances have been quite. You call it erratic. For me, it's been quite poor, especially against the bigger teams. They've played 12 league games since the beginning of the year. They've lost 5 of them. I think they've drawn 3 and they've only won 4. But you look at the games that they've lost when they're playing the better teams. They're losing at the moment. They've lost to. they got absolutely spanked by Spurs. Yeah. And it is erratic. The other thing is,
City.
This Thursday,
Newcastle.
Yeah, Newcastle. This Thursday night game for them. Again, I've looked at. It's the Europa Conference League, and I was finding it very difficult to get any information. It's such a lowly competition that there's not much press on it. But one thing I did noted was that when they played Ajax in the previous round, that they went strong. So they are taking it seriously. And you quite rightly point out Lille are a good team. They're fourth in the French league. Lille's last 5 games, they've won 3 and drawn 2. So they're not going to take it lightly.
Including, I was watching their game at the weekend and they looked good, man. They're playing Marseille. And they, Marseille,
What
obviously,
changes
they
would you
beat
make
Marseille.
changes in?
I'd make changes from the starting 11. I'd agree with you. I'd bring in Zinchenko. I think it is time to start Partey in this game. I'd probably bring in Jesus, but it's difficult to know who to drop. It's a tricky one, but I think we'll win. Is the answer?
I would make changes as well. For me, Zinchenko, I agree with. Zinchenko's now got to come back in that left. I mean, and I'd play Zinchenko because against Bayern away, I'd start Tomiyasu in that game. But I'll play Zinchenko. I'd like to see Partey and Rice in this game in the midfield, particularly the fact that Douglas Luiz is missing. I mean, I know they'll still have John McGinn, but I think, this is the game to bring Partey in. And you're rightly, he needs minutes. He needs a bit of flow to his game, right? So, and then it's interesting. I've been thinking a lot about it up front. I think I leave Martinelli in because he needs a run of games. He was very, very poor the other night, and we know how good he is. And I think that's just because he's coming back from injury. And I think he's one of these players that he needs a run of games to just. And I think, I'd like to see Martinelli start the game, right? I wouldn't bring in Jesus just for the mere fact that they're managing that knee injury, aren't they? You saw it even the other day. He was saying that, literally every time he plays with pain and stuff like that. And for me, he has to start against Bayern Munich. So he'd be a player that I'd leave out unless, it's absolutely essential that we've got to bring in. And maybe a shout for Trossard starting as well. Maybe, because, Havertz looked a little tired the other night. He's been playing a lot. I mean, I think I'll probably keep Havertz in, but Trossard, the way he's been playing. Yeah,
but
he's been brilliant.
A lot of his great performances seem to come off the bench.
Yeah, but even when he starts, he scores. He scores goals when he starts as well.
Great finish, one. Yeah,
it's
brilliant finish.
And it was a great finish against Brighton. That was more impressive for me.
Yeah, and he's the man on form at the moment. So if he's on form scoring goals, should he not be in right from the start, maybe?
I think I was talking about this yesterday, a couple of my mates. He's like, Ollie Solskjaer, Man United, when he was... he always used to come on and do well as a sub. But
no, you know what I said the other day he reminds me of, right? I said he's like our Jota, like what they got at Liverpool.
Yeah,
he reminds me so much like Jota. Jota's like...
That's a great...
He doesn't always start, but when he does come and he's so good at it, and he's so clinical, Jota.
A good finisher.
Yeah, and I'm not saying he's as good as Jota, but he reminds me a lot in that mould. He'll come on, and if he gets a chance, his finishing's great. He always have the impact off the bench, but also where I don't equate him exactly like Solskjaer, that if he does have to start as well, he still brings quality when he starts as well. He still scores goals when he starts as well. So. I'm wondering if maybe, but it's just that I want to see Martinelli.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Get up to speed.
I think Martinelli needs more minutes. We all wanted him to come in the game, but I have to say Bayern Munich played that quite well. They dropped off, so they didn't have that fit. Maybe against in the home game they will push on. Maybe Villa will play that deep block as well, and that may mean that it suits Trossard to play there or not, and I'm not worried. If you're saying about we've got to get minutes for Wednesday and all that, for me it's about winning this game.
Win the game, man. So it's every game in front of us.
I'm not worried if Martinelli's not getting minutes. If for Wednesday or part.
Yeah, and that's why I'm thinking Trossard's the in-form guy.
So go with Trossard.
It's all about scoring goals right now.
Trossard instead of Martinelli. You play Trossard in the middle.
You could argue to take maybe, even though Havertz looked a little tired the other night, he's going to get a lot of rest because we played Tuesday. We're not playing until Sunday, so probably I'll keep Havertz. Yeah, maybe Trossard, man, because Trossard's scoring. And when you're in these sort of title races and things are tight, you want goals, and you get early goals. We get an early goal at the Emirates. We get off to good starts with goals. Then I think I think Trossard starting for the beginning maybe
instead of Martinelli.
Yeah.
I want to leave Havertz out.
Yes, so I'd have to disagree with that purely because of how Villa have been playing, and they've been quite narrow. They're not going wide, which I think leaves more room for them to exploit. If you look at how Brentford got back into the game against Villa last week, they were putting a lot of crosses in from the left, because they were so narrow. The way that they were playing, and Emery kind of realised that. He might try and change it around, and I'm sure he will do if Martinelli plays. But if he doesn't know who's playing, it's going to be difficult for him to know how to set up, which gives us the advantage because we have so many different options. How do different managers counter that? Whereas we pretty much know and be able to predict how Villa are going to play.
What's your front three then?
I'd have Martinelli, Saka, and I think I'd have. I probably have Havertz because of what you said. I changed my mind with the knee issue because I think we do want him. I know I've contradicted myself now because I said it's all about Wednesday, but I do want to see him Wednesday. I think 2 games in the space of a few days is probably going to be too much for him.
And I think Jesus for that game, I don't think the Bayern defence will want to come up against his sort of movement and trickery.
He was so lively.
Yeah, and I think, it'd be like, Jesus, chill, Wednesday, that's your day, man. You're going full on these guys. And then start Havertz in this game. He's been reliable. He's played brilliantly for us all season. Let's not get too disheartened about the other night, right? Because, all right, we didn't win the game, but we didn't lose. And again, we were up against a top quality team. And we can't forget what we've been doing. I mean, last week we were there, man, against Brighton. Well, it was an outstanding performance by Arsenal, and they just got to get back to that.
Yeah, that was the thing. I have to say, I come out of Brighton thinking, Arsenal can win the league. I know at that stage we was relying on other teams, but I felt defensively I thought that was a fantastic performance by the way against Brighton. Absolutely. Not lost at home since August, and we just totally dominated the game from start to finish. I thought we was brilliant all round on that game, and I think maybe that's the little disappointment going into Tuesday. But if we hit that sort of form against Villa, and I still feel, I know what you're saying about not Jesus. I just want Mikel to just say, right, that whatever he picks is the team that wants to bet. I don't want us to have any regrets thinking, if we'd have played him against Aston Villa and we didn't, win this game is so important. I know it sounds silly, but someone said to me, what's our toughest game of the season when you look at our fixtures? I said the next game. And that's how I see it. I know it was a boring answer. I just said that. What is the tough game now? It's Aston Villa. It's not Munich. It's win against Aston Villa now, and I think that's all that matters to me now. And if Jesus can't make it again on the Wednesday, so be it. You know what I mean? That's how I see it now.
But just to sort of speak on the Brighton game, I do agree with you. We dominated that game. But for me, the most impressive part was actually after we scored the second, because at that point, from the second goal to the end of the game, Brighton actually had 82%. They had 82% of possession, but we had 6 shots against their 1. Yeah. So what we did defensively
that's what we need to do against Bayern.
We let them have possession, but we completely snuffed them out. They did nothing with that possession, which is just brilliant. Different way of playing.
Do that against Bayern as well next week. Let's hope the wind ain't too. You forgot to mention that there. Remember, I'm still waiting for that gale force wind to blow across.
And it happened. It just happened a few hours after. I told you on Sunday I got woken up.
We were there a few hours after.
I got woken up on when we got back. We got back quite late.
We got back about 2 a.m.
Yeah.
The game was at 5:30.
Okay, and I got woken up about 3 o'clock in the morning by the wind. I can't be criticised for being able to read.
All I did
was read the weather report and commented, having been there before and know the geography of Brighton, with the fact that they're on the coast, the ground's slightly, a little bit more open because it's on top of a hill. It could have had an effect. I've been there. I'm talking from experience and researching the.
I wish you'd have shown that experience and know-how with the parking. I'd say that. You know what I mean?
Did you?
Well, I got there in the end.
So your fence got blown down when you got woken up in the middle of the night. Is that heavy? Yeah. The wind.
No, I got woken up. It wasn't that heavy.
I'll tell you what. In Julian's defence,
I can't be held responsible for the fact the weathermen got it wrong.
Sunday night, he got here a day late.
No, it was a few hours later.
Well, no, it's
the weatherman got it wrong, not me. I just read the weather report.
Your new name's Michael Fishray. I'll tell you. Right. Yeah. Let's get in. There was some comments. Hey, you know, we're getting accused of, right? Listen to this one, right? Jace RH95 says, getting very bored. A lot of other fans as well on this channel of the constant belittling of Julian. He raises fantastic points, but you both want your points to be the loudest. Julian is ready to articulate his points, but you guys just make jokes about him. Enough of this. We're supporting the same team.
I'll tell you what, we actually...
What's your response?
Well...
so are you guilty?
No, not guilty,
Not
sir.
guilty, do one. Right?
Do one. We had Natasha, didn't she? She came up to us in the
Brighton.
at a Brighton game and said...
I'd not met her before.
Like, she said, like, will you two stop bullying?
Well, then this one, guy, is it... Israel Yalius 5957 says, love the show, but stop bullying Julian. Then we're getting accused of bullying him.
Look, it's a defensive thing by both of you, is that when you don't know the answer thing and you haven't done the same level of research that I have, that's your kind of get out, isn't it? Go on the attack.
Kemi Ticking 77 though, a guy of a much more reasonable level-headed, classy guy. This guy, he says Julian is unrealistic. Is an unrealistic, delusional person. This is why when you people people do the fan cams, you must be careful of what you say. You can't unsay what you've said. Focus on the facts. 2-0 win, 3 points, no injuries, and gave a rest to key players. He was talking about the Luton game that was before.
That wasn't my finest
where
moment.
you were having a go at Mikel Arteta for not. And the team for not trying to score 5-6. And if I remember, you said to me, you goes, what City? They'll probably score about 8. Against Sheffield United.
Liverpool, it was Liverpool.
Liverpool.
Yep.
I'm looking at a Liverpool game. No. Yeah. You said no. The City game. You were saying that.
No, I was saying about the Liverpool playing Sheffield United.
Yeah, Liverpool against Sheffield United.
I said they could.
And then I see it was 6-0. It's like 1-1.
I said if I had to call it, it would be about 5-0, but it could easily be 8 and more.
Yeah. He actually got caught. We're going into Brighton. Some fan came up and said, you're far too negative about that. Let him go. Copped him for about 10 minutes. And I'll tell you what, I have to say about Julian that this fellow was accusing you of being negative. The one thing you cannot accuse Julian of is being negative. I have to say he's so more positive than anybody I know, if I'll be honest. I'll tell you what, you know, Ty runs him close, but yeah, and this case couldn't be so much wrong about it.
Quite aggressive, wasn't he?
Bullying again.
Yeah, bullying. How dare you say I sneaked round.
Okay,
don't worry, we had your back, man.
Yeah,
I left him there.
yeah, he did.
Oh, you left him?
Yeah.
He's grabbed me, this guy, and I've looked round for a bit of support. And I'm on my own.
That's about 10 minutes later. He's come into the stadium. He's gone. Oh dear. Yeah, but yeah, one little bit of negativity you done there, which was a little bit out of context. Would you say, like, you know, and you got cited for it, like, you know?
Yeah, look, it was slightly out of character. But the thing about fan cams is it's far more difficult to be able to kind of be sensible on a fan cam, because you're so raw from what's just happened.
I was raw on,
and you haven't had a lot of time.
You're always raw.
And against Luton especially, I hadn't had a chance to look at it back. It was just what I'd seen.
Yeah, at the time. Yeah.
At the time, without the, you know, without listening to commentary.
Against Bayern, I'll tell you that.
Do you know? And I've got to say this about watching games, and you're watching the game and whatever. Like, you know, I've always sort of been a fan of Kai Havertz. I've sort of stuck up for him and all that. And I actually didn't think he was. I thought he played well against Brighton, but I didn't think he was unbelievable. And I had people going to me, you ain't watching the same game now. And then
remember, we did a player rating. So if you remember rightly, I sort of said, actually, he was bordering on a 9.
Yeah.
And he was like,
well, I don't know. Yeah, no,
but and you know what? His funny thing is that I never realised as well that he'd actually had the assist.
Yeah, for the
Trossard
goal. I didn't know who
the and he should have got the man of the match. We should have given it to him.
Yeah.
We should have given it
for his effectiveness. You're quite right that you don't see him so much in the game, but in the moments that count,
he's there, isn't he?
He's there. And
even on Tuesday, it was he that won the ball.
Yeah, for the first
and he
goal.
also set up Ben White, didn't he?
Yeah.
And also,
I
didn't see that at the time.
Yeah, but there was something else that I noticed. I watched it back today. Was his second goal, or the second goal against Brighton? It looks like a tap-in, and it was a tap-in. But his movement
was fantastic,
before was
wasn't it?
brilliant.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
It's about being effective in football, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Saka.
Yeah.
Right? It's funny enough, right? I was watching the PSG game yesterday, and I think it was Dembele scored, and they said that's his second goal that he scored for PSG.
Yeah.
Only
it was
second
a brilliant goal, but
brilliant
I'd
goal,
rather
but
score
only second goal. When
20
you think
rubbish
about
goals.
it, right? You think about how many goals Saka scores.
Yep.
Right? And Dembele's considered one of the top wingers around, but he's nowhere near as good as Saka.
No.
Rafa Leao, who's a great player, plays for AC Milan. A few weeks ago, I was watching him, and he scored, and they got his first goal of the season. So Saka is so effective. He scores goals. So many assists. He's such a good player, and his standards are so high that sometimes we're like, I even heard a guy saying to me after it was during the game, he's going, Saka's been all right. He ain't really been on it tonight. And I'm thinking, no, he scored earlier. He nearly got the penalty at the end. And every time he got the ball, he looked dangerous. So it's about being effective. That's what Kai Havertz is. He does. He's really having an effect on the game. He's really integral to how Arsenal play at the moment.
I think
pressing
he's
as well.
Better and better as well.
He's. I think, and as well now he's got confident. He understands that the fans now really do love him as a player.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like he obviously, to begin with, there was a lot of fans sort of like he's won them over, and now you're seeing him really playing with a lot of confidence when he plays for Arsenal.
I will say this: the travelling fans who can be very critical at times have always stuck by him.
Yeah.
And even I know like most of the fans have all backed you. He's had that confidence and that belief from the fans, and it's
big up Martin Odegaard, right? I go right back to that game against Bournemouth when he gave him the penalty.
Yeah, that's a great.
That's where the song started.
That's where it was. Yeah.
Got him off the mark, right? And people don't know the importance of those things sometimes. I remember even afterwards, a couple of people commenting. I don't know if it was Turkish. Let me see if I remember. But he's only a penalty.
Far from Turkish.
Yeah. Those things that get you off the mark sometimes. And that was Odegaard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's a really top captain.
And that was you're absolutely right. That was the change. The song started that day. It was actually a good penalty. When you think about the pressure he was probably under for that penalty,
100%.
it didn't make so much difference to the result, but for him personally,
massive pressure.
If he'd missed that,
massive pressure. It could have gone. Could have gone the other way for him, couldn't have it? Right. Great point.
We come to the end of the show today. Do you want to get some quick predictions? Villa at the Emirates, Julian.
3-0.
Lee?
2-0.
3-1, I'll go. Right, let's go to Bayern away. Lee?
2-1.
2-1 to Bayern.
We'll win it on penalties, and then I'll get slaughtered for missing the plane.
I think you're going to get slaughtered for missing the plane as well, but I'll take some responsibility as well, because I did say we'll go for that flight as well. But I'm with you. I think it's going to go to... I think it's going to go penalties, and we win it on penalties. But guys, thank you very much for watching the show today and listening as well. Remember, this podcast is available on YouTube. It's also available on all of your normal streaming platforms, so make sure you check it out. Don't forget, this weekend, massive game coming up, Arsenal versus Aston Villa on Sunday, so make sure you check out all of our previewing the game. It's a big one, and also we're going to be over there next week in Munich for the game, so make sure you check out all of our content. These guys will be there with me as well. Cecil's going to be there as well, so make sure you don't miss our coverage of that game over there in Bayern Munich. Please, let's get a win out there. We still got those horrible memories of the 5-1, right? So we've got to go out there and reverse that and get through to the semi-final of the Champions League. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. The Invincible podcast. Myself, Robbie, and Lee Judges come together once a week to discuss all things Arsenal. Straight talking, considered discussion, brought to you by the fans of the only club in Football League history to go invincible.